Hello, it's Bob Pandolfo with my Super Bowl analysis for Sunday, February 13th. Rams against the Bengals. The Rams will be the home team, although it says neutral here. I don't think it's a big home field advantage, but let's analyze the game. I'm going to pick the Rams. I picked them earlier in the week, right after the playoffs, when there was 4 points. I bet them at four, minus four. I think at 4.5 though, it's still a good bet. So if you look at these two teams, let's look at the competition they faced. You know, when you're handicapping horses, you always look at the class. The way I see it, I look through the whole season. The Rams played 12 games against good teams, playoff caliber teams. They won 7 of those games. The Bengals played 11 games against playoff caliber teams. They won 9 of those games. I think the Rams had a little bit tougher schedule overall because they played the 49ers 3 times. They beat them once in the playoffs. And they played the Packers. They played the Buccaneers twice. They beat them twice. They played the Cardinals 3 times. They beat them twice. They played the Colts. They beat them. Now the Bengals did beat the Chiefs twice. They beat the Raiders twice. And they played the 49ers and the Packers. They lost those games. They beat the Steelers twice. So they played 11 games against good teams. They won 9 of them. And the Rams had 12 games against good teams, and they won 7. But the Rams, I think, had a little bit tougher schedule, but I don't know if that's a big factor. As far as the way the teams are ranked on statistically, defensively, the Rams are ranked number 17th in the NFL, and the Bengals are ranked number 18th. Against the pass, the Rams are ranked number 22nd, and the Bengals are ranked number 26th. And offensively, the Rams are the 9th top offense statistically, and the Bengals are the 13th. So they're pretty evenly matched. The Rams have a little bit better overall statistics. Naturally, both of these teams are playing very well towards the end of the season, and they're both really peaking, which is what usually happens when you get the teams that get in the Super Bowl are the teams that put it all together in the second half of the season. So let's look at the Bengals, how they got here. If you look at the last 2 games, when they played the Titans, I thought Tennessee was a physically superior team, and I thought they had the edge coming into that game. And of course, they were dominating the game from a physical standpoint. They sacked Joe Burrow 9 times, and they ran for 147 yards, but they lost the game, which was pretty amazing, really, to just have that kind of a game. We have 9 sacks, and you're running the ball well, and then you lose. But the key to that game was the Bengals secondary. They came up with 3 interceptions. Their pass coverage was good. It wasn't like that Ryan Tannehill, threw really horrible passes. He just threw 2 passes into tight coverage. One of them was deflected, but it was just good coverage. And their secondary did a great job. So then you look at the game against the Chiefs, and it was the same type of situation where it looked like they were going to lose the game. The Chiefs were, dominating. And then the Chiefs made that stupid play where they were winning 21-3 and there were 5 seconds left. For some reason, they decided to run another play rather than take an easy 3 points. They were on their 4-yard line or 1-yard line, right by the end zone, and they threw a pass to the side. I don't know if Mahomes checked off or if that was the play, but it looked ridiculous. And Mahomes should have known better. A top quarterback, if a stupid play comes in from the coaches, you just call your own play. You do something different. I mean, the quarterback is the leader on the field. They're not going to fire you if you change the play. And that was just a really dumb play. They could have been leading by 24-3, but instead it was 21-3, and it was a bonehead play to end the half. And then, of course, in the second half, the Bengals secondary just completely shut down the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't have a great pass rush. It was all coverage. And what they did on some of the plays is they dropped more people back in coverage. So they went with like a 3-man rush and put 8 back in coverage. And also on some of the plays, they had a spy on Mahomes because Mahomes had a couple of good runs in the first half. And then the second half, they kept an eye on him so that if he couldn't find anyone open, he couldn't just run. And in fact, Mahomes mentioned that after the game, that they had a spy on him. But really, it was just the secondary and a different scheme, that defensive scheme that the Chiefs fell for it, because the Bengals, changed at the half and they went into a different defense, and the Chiefs didn't adjust. Maybe they should have run the ball more or thrown more screen passes or something, but they couldn't do anything in the second half and they blew the game. So I think coming into this game, the Super Bowl, it's really the same type of situation where if the Bengals are going to win this game, their secondary is going to have to play outstanding again. They don't have. I don't think they're going to have a big pass rush here. And of course, the Rams have a lot of offensive weapons. So now let's look at one of the weaknesses of the Bengals offensively, and that's their offensive line. They gave up 51 sacks during the year. That was the most in the NFL. So it's very unusual to get into the Super Bowl with a line that gives up more sacks than any other team. But they do have an outstanding quarterback, Joe Burrow. He in that game against the Titans, he made the passes he had to make, even though he was getting crushed the whole game. And you have to give him a lot of credit for that. I mean, he's a real leader, and obviously the Bengals believe in him, and he's a pinpoint passer. Burrow led the league in pass percentage. He hit 70% of his passes, which is pretty amazing when you have a really bad offensive line. It goes to show you how good he is. And we even saw that he can run the ball if he has to, as he did last week against the Chiefs a couple of times. So Burrow's going to have another good game, but probably he's going to have to get rid of the ball quick, because I think the Rams will have a good pass rush. So they're going to have a game plan where they can get the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands quickly. Then you look at how they're going to defense the Rams. Now Matthew Stafford is no slouch when it comes to pass completions either. He hit 69.5% of his passes, which was right behind Burrow, so it was pretty close. So both of these guys are pinpoint passers, and of course he has great weapons. Cooper Kupp is one of the great receivers in the NFL. I mean, he's incredible. And then they have Odell Beckham on the other side, and they just have a solid all-around offense with a good offensive line too. So the Bengals secondary, in my opinion, is going to have to really play another outstanding game and hopefully get some interceptions. I mean, that's how they won. That's how they got into the Super Bowls, with interceptions. They had 5 interceptions in those 2 games, and a couple of them were really at critical points in the game. So it really was the secondary that got them into the Super Bowl, and that's how they win this game. The secondary is going to have to come up big again. One thing about possible interceptions. Both of these guys are pinpoint passes. Yes, they're both top quarterbacks. They're both great passing quarterbacks. But they both had bad stretches during the season. There was one time where Matthew Stafford in 3 straight games threw a pick 6, meaning that the ball was intercepted and run back for a touchdown in 3 straight games. And Joe Burrow threw interceptions on 3 straight passes at one point. 3 straight passes. So even though they're great passes, these guys that are gunslingers, they try to fit the ball in because they have so much confidence and they're so accurate. And that's how sometimes you do get interceptions. So that could, we'll see if that's another big key to the game, because that's how the Bengals got here in the first place. I just think, overall, the matchups favor the Rams. They have, a really outstanding defensive line with a great defensive player in Arnold, and they have more offensive weapons. They're very well coached. And I think they can pressure Burrow. And to me, the Rams at minus 4.5 seem like the best play. If I was going to play a teaser, I'd probably tease the Rams and the under, because I think both of these teams, the defenses have been playing really well. But I don't know. I think the best play is the Rams minus 4.5. And I did bet them at minus 4 when the line opened. So that will do it for the Super Bowl analysis. Thanks for listening. And remember, you can see all my picks for the NFL and for horses at www.handicappingwinners.com. Thanks for listening.